for now. But, so again, these are my concerns, and it's more related to the time of day, the accessibility, the backing out onto the intersection. People are going to be crossing Route 62. You know, you're offered to close at 10:30 at night. That's nice. People are going to park over at Christopher's. People are going to park at Michael's. It's a dangerous situation, and the location for that type of business is not well suited for it, in my estimation, at this point. As far as it being a personal agenda, I hope you're not addressing that to any member of the board, myself included, because I have no personal agenda. I don't know if that's addressed to your neighbors. I haven't found that to be so, and I've heard from most of them, if not all of them, probably several times. Again, I haven't spoken with anybody that wishes you nothing but good luck, but they don't want this type of establishment in their neighborhood for varying different reasons that I may or may not agree with. To me, it's a public safety issue. I think we were well grounded on our denial basis the last time. I appreciate your efforts coming back and trying to address some of them, and on voluntary conditions on things. It doesn't change my overriding concern with the location and the type of business that you're proposing there. And again, you're proposing a new business there. It's an expansion of what you're doing, which is a new type of establishment than what you currently have been offering for the last 3 years. So my concerns haven't changed. What did concern me, and I'll state it to you, is that when the chairman came back and told us what took place at the ABCC hearing in relation to taking pictures and painting the lines the day before the ABCC hearing and then presenting that to the ABCC commissioners as a matter of fact and legitimate parking, is very disconcerting. I know, but I believe that was a deceitful act in relation to trying to mislead the ABCC into leading them to believe that you had legitimate parking spaces there that was never presented to the town, was never presented to the board at our hearing. We couldn't. So you did it the day before the hearing, and you went, and we never saw it before, it was never presented to us, and you presented it to the ABC commissioners as a matter of fact. It was still a very deceitful act, I thought, and that's very concerning to me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, matter of fact.
Joe?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah, I will. First, I want to say this is not any personal agenda against the against the Del Grecos, and I take exception to the speakers who spoke, and I certainly hope they were not aiming that at me, because I've never met Mr. and Mrs. Del Greco until 7 months ago when they came before us. This is not a personal agenda. I am looking at this in a number of concerns. One is safety, two is the neighborhood. I have a problem with putting the alcohol on that side of town in that neighborhood. This is one of my concerns. I did hear, please, I did hear a statement made that they would only serve to people who are eating food. I can tell you through my experience, I saw a restaurant in Reading that was given that same license, and people would sit there and order one meal and drink 7 or 8 beers or whatever. So that can happen. I'm not saying that would happen, but that can happen, and I really don't think that any business owner is going to say, no, you've had one beer, I'm not going to serve you another one. I just don't think that would happen that way. I've never been in your restaurant. I will be honest, I never have. But from what I hear, it's excellent food. I mean, you have people here, even some opponents that I've talked to who aren't here tonight, have said the food is excellent. I don't think you need alcohol in this restaurant. I truly don't. I truly don't think you need alcohol. The one speaker who got up and spoke and said, well, the state probably will overturn you. Well, if the state overturns us, so be it. I've done my job as a selectman. And I feel that, no, please, no comments. And I feel that I've done my job as a selectman, and if the state overturns it, so be it. The state will overturn it. Again, as I said, I don't really feel that this new information on the loss of 3 spaces is any reason to postpone or change this hearing. And at this time, I have not changed my decision. I would be opposed to it.
Yes. I'm probably going to repeat some of the things that have been said on both sides. Now, I look at an establishment of a business from the selectmen's perspective, that when anybody brings a business, requests a license to do a business within the boundaries of our town, I think that we have a responsibility to try to find as many ways as possible legally to allow an establishment to get started, develop, and be complement the community. The specific location that we're talking about, there is no restaurants, or there are no restaurants there, and that from a business perspective, that is location, 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 for two reasons. The negative that was brought out before, but they'd be the only restaurant in that area, and the type of food that they're offering, they probably would do very well, and I look to be able to encourage that. There are benefits to this restaurant, okay? It's a family restaurant. That's a good thing, okay? The access, it's on the east side of town. It serves a specific, not limited to those who live on the east side, but it does service that area. The owners, in fairness to these owners, they have done everything they possibly could do to try to get to make this restaurant grow, and they, not fair to them, they have hit walls upon walls upon walls, because even tonight we were able to pretty much identify that CPC doesn't handle it. It's always somebody else's job to do it, and they don't really care whose job it is. They just want to have a family business and serve the community. Employment, that's a good thing within our community. Jobs are scarce at this time. It's one of those anomalies at this time. We're starting to see someone that can offer local employment. It's good for our tax revenue. Okay, we're cutting corners in all places, and this increases our adds to our tax base. But then there's the other side, and keep in mind, the way I look at this, I have to look at the big picture. I have to look at both sides. I think as all the selectmen do. I'm no different than they are. Okay, I'll just wear it on my sleeve a little bit more. Again, we have to look at both sides, and we need to share both sides of the issue. That's a corner that I use about 4 to 5 times a week. I'm in and out at Servici's all the time. And ever since I moved in town, I found that to be one of the worst corners in town. And it is an extremely dangerous corner for a variety of reasons. It's a curved corner. It's not just a straight corner, but it's a curved corner, so that you lose some vision. Sergeant Romeo might be able to correct me on this, but I think on the eastbound direction going on Park, going towards Washington, I believe the speed limit there is 25 miles per hour. What I did notice, and I take this seriously, so I kind of followed this thing through. I drove back and forth behind cars to see how they would handle this, and many of them drove about 35 miles per hour, and as they hit Washington Street, they slowed to about 30. Also, the westbound, coming from the east, going westbound, the speed limit there was 30 miles an hour, but that seemed to have a higher speed. Basically, people were driving about 40 miles an hour, and then they'd slow down to about 35. Okay. In both cases, regardless of the direction that you're coming from, you really don't have an idea of what you're entering when you come to that corner. It's a very, very difficult corner. If there's a visual loss of oncoming traffic from the library, so if you either are standing at the corner across from the Center Cafe, or you're in your car, it doesn't matter. The traffic comes from the library, dips, and as it comes, you can see at night, and keep in mind, we're talking about night. Daytime's a completely different discussion, okay? But you can see the car when it's about at the library, maybe a little bit closer. But once it gets beyond that, it's no longer in sight. So if you pull up from Park Street to the corner of Park and Washington, and you pull up at the time that that car drops, okay, you don't see that car, all right, and you have to hope you see the light, because even that is blocked. So if you go out to make a left-hand turn, you will be turning into that vehicle. This is not the fault of the Del Grecos. We need to keep this in mind. It is not their fault. Now, also, I can't even read this, and they've got big letters. When you're using the crosswalk from the Center Cafe, that means what you're doing is you have your back to Park Street. So where that crosswalk is, right there, as you cross Park Street, okay, because it turns to the right, so you come out of the cafe and you walk towards the gas station, you have no idea. The minute you take 3 steps out, you are extremely vulnerable to that traffic, because you're going that way and the traffic's coming from this way. If the person driving, who is now below the sight line, is going 35 miles an hour and starts to make the turn, by the time they see you at that specific point in time, they're not going to be, my interpretation, okay? They're not going to be able to see you in time. It's a very vulnerable location for that corner. And plus, in addition, the abutters do not want the restaurant to be serving alcohol. That's another issue, okay? There are a variety of intersections, the one I just mentioned, but there's Park and Concord Street, a lot of intersections that we have to address. Park in Nutter, Park in Maine, and so on. And I can save that for another time because it's a long night. But I drew myself a little schematic, and I tried to figure out, again, getting back to how can we help this establishment succeed, okay? I looked at this and I said, that crosswalk that we have on Park Street, if you move that to the other side of your establishment, so that when a car makes a turn there, they can see you, okay? So that's something that I would include in my decision process. But also, there needs to be a light at that corner. There must be a light at that corner. If you take the corner of Winter and Park, once they put a light there, that became a very safe corner. So the corner here demands, for safety purposes, okay, that a light be put there, pedestrian light. One that, it can be a blinking light, but you gotta be able to push that button and be able to stop traffic and be able to cross. Those are the two things that I see from a safety standpoint of view that need to be done. I cannot support a license unless that's done. Okay? All right? So, and that, I don't mean to put another fly in the ointment or anything like that. That's how I feel that. With regard to the consumption of alcohol, okay, I understand the residents' concerns. They have every right to not